Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is part 2 of Taken, Shoto Todoroki x female listener x Tamura Shigaraki. It has a very eloquently written suggestive part in there, but aside from that, it's clean. So here we go, coming straight back in pretty much where we left off in part 1. Unsurprisingly, Shoto wouldn't let you leave the house over the next few days, and every time you got up to do something, he would ask where you were going and get up to follow you. Shoto, you chuckled lightly when he got up out of the beanbag and followed you to the kitchen. You can stop following me, I'm fine. I'm concerned they'll come back again, he said in his calm, monotone voice. I don't think they will, you said glumly, trying to hide the despondency in your voice. They know my quirk is useless, and they were only after Dad anyway. Shoto fell silent, and after a few seconds you glanced at him to see the expression on his face. Not that that was anything to go by, as he usually kept it pretty neutral. He was peering intently at you, his mismatched eyes searching your face. What? You asked. Did you really not notice? He asked you seriously. Realize what? That the leader who took you had feelings for you? What would you know about feelings? You spluttered, more embarrassed than anything else. I saw the way he protected you. He had feelings for you. And again, I ask, what would you know about feelings? You asked, blinking and avoiding eye contact with him so that you wouldn't give away the fact that the villain, Shigaraki, had been on your mind ever since that day. His kiss had been unforgettable. Okay, and the creepy dead hands thing had certainly burnt its way into your memory as well, but it also intrigued you. I'm fine, okay, he doesn't like me. Dad doesn't like me. No one's coming for me because no one cares. Except you. So just chill out, would you? You asked in a firm yet gentle voice. Shoto nodded and stepped away, then sat back down in the beanbag. Okay, but just know that I won't let them take you again, he stated, going back to reading whatever he had been reading before. But what if I want to get taken? You thought with a sigh as you went back to doing what you were doing. The more you thought about Shigaraki, the more you wanted to run away with him. Everything you'd said was true. No one except your brother Shoto cared about you, but when Shigaraki had been so protective of you, it made you want to be with him that little bit more. I'm going to go for a walk, you said to Shoto a little later that evening. I'll go with you, he announced as he stood up once again. No, it's okay, I just want to clear my head, you said. I want to be alone. I cannot let you go alone, Shoto said firmly. Okay, fine, I'll be in my room, you said as you walked off down the hall instead. Thankfully, Shoto didn't follow you, and the second you got into your room, you walked to the window, opened it, jumped out, ducked down, and then ran across the backyard to the fence and climbed over it. I'll just go and see Shigaraki for a second and see if he really does like me, because I kind of like him, and if it all goes wrong, then I'll just pray that Shoto comes and finds me or something, you thought as you jogged off down the street. You had your brother as a backup plan, but you really didn't want to need that backup plan. Off down the street you went. You vaguely remembered where you had walked with Shoto after he had successfully saved you from the villain hideout the first time, so made your way in that direction first. Getting closer to the warehouse that you'd been kept in, you stopped and slowed, picking your way a little more carefully now. You thought you saw movement ahead and stopped to let your eyes adjust in the darkness, and yep, ahead was somebody in a black hoodie, the hood part covering their face. It was a familiar sight to you, and you wondered if you should keep walking or turn back. Was it him or not? Just then the person shifted and they started walking towards you. So you've come back, the person said in a low voice, that unmistakable rasp of Shigaraki's coming through. Your voice box seized and you froze on the spot as he approached you. You know who truly cares about you, he said as he reached a hand for your throat and gripped your windpipe, one pinky averted as he pulled your body into his. Do you really care? You asked in a strained, crushed voice as his chapped lips pressed to yours. There in the middle of the abandoned street, you made out, your hands gently caressing his pale arm as he held you by the throat. Come with me, he said lowly. I have a place for all people of society who are called useless. The more useless and pathetic the person, the more I can use them. The philosophy didn't quite sell it for you, but that kiss and the way he dominated you put you under his spell, and you allowed him to switch his hand from your throat to around your shoulders as he walked you off down the back alley and into another warehouse. You'll stay with me, he uttered, still not showing you his face, in the dark, as he led you into a room there. He never turned the lights on, and you never asked for them to be turned on. And that night, no part of your body was left untouched by his 4 fingertips, and no soft sound escaped your lips without one of his hands being around your throat. And at the end, as his name rolled off your tongue with a trembling moan, you knew that you would be his forever. From that day, you ran with the League. You'd sent Shoto a message in secret to let him know that you were okay, and that he'd be an uncle soon, which confused him. You didn't have any children, so how could he be an uncle? And although he tried to find you, all of his leads came to a screaming halt. All he had to go on was your word that you were okay. It was a year or so later that Shoto was shopping for fruit and vegetables in a smaller shop at the end of town when a small child ran into his leg. Looking down, he just stared at the small boy until the little one got up. "Hiraki!" a voice called out to the child. Shoto's eyes snapped up, searching for the face that belonged to the voice that he recognised. "Sorry, sir," the small boy said, before turning and running off down the aisle. "Wait!" Shoto called, running after the small boy to find the person who had called him back, but alas, he couldn't find either the parent nor the child. As he stood there for a moment, the air around him grew colder, and a gentle mist rose from the aisle over, forming the words in the air for him to read. "I am loved and safe, Shoto." Then the mist faded and he was left there, wondering if it had all been a strange daydream. The end. Well, that was a bit of a mysterious one, but it fits. So to all those who asked for part 2, I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the poll coming soon to vote for next week's one shot.